Welcome to WEFM's 3 p.m. news. I am your presenter, Jessica Klein. First, on the local scene. The Ministry of National Mobilization is set to host an Elderly Care and Protection Act national consultation on Friday, August 18th, 2023. The event will be held at the National Insurance Service NIS conference room starting at 8:30 a.m. and finishing at 4:30 p.m. The consultation will be conducted by Attorney at Law and Managing Director at Lex Inc., Mr. Romel St. Hill. During the consultation, Mr. Romel will share findings of the stakeholder consultations and draft the Elderly Care and Protection Bill. A search and rescue operation for a missing passenger who was on board a fishing vessel that capsized on August 13th has been launched by the SPG Coast Guard Service. Reports state that the vessel capsized at Cramaco Bay, which is located between Owea and Fancy on the northeastern coast of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. According to a release by the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, 18 passengers were on board the capsized vessel while returning from the Falls of Belen. The incident was reported to the police, and a Coast Guard vessel was immediately deployed to the area to render assistance. On arrival at Cramaco Bay, Coast Guard divers began a search for persons in the water. However, the officers were informed that 17 persons were rescued by local fishermen, while the other passenger, Mr. Kenson Brown of Sandy Bay, is missing. The rescued passengers were transported to the Owea Health Center, the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center in Georgetown, and the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, respectively, for medical treatment. 3 persons are said to be still receiving medical care at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. Still on the local scene, 30-year-old lawyer Shaquille Bob was sworn in today during a ceremony at the Government House as SPG's youngest senator. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said that the ceremony is especially meaningful because Bob comes from humble roots and is a product of the government's education revolution. He said, "We have the energy, knowledge, and perspective of young people." Shaka was 7 years old when I became Prime Minister, and she is now going to sit in cabinet with me. Before being sworn in as a senator, Bob worked for a number of law firms and was the legal officer at the Financial Services Authority. Dr. Gonsalves described Bob as a well-rounded young woman who, despite her age, has substantial legal expertise and will no doubt serve this country well in her new role. Shaquille Bob replaces Rashad Bala, who demitted office and will assume the position of Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister. On the regional scene, the Deputy General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, NUPW, in Barbados, Wayne Waldron, has made a call on the government to invest in proper maintenance of the island's primary healthcare institutions. However, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George told Barbados Today there is no quick fix to these issues, especially given the administration's limited financial resources. Workers at the David Thompson Health and Social Services Complex in St. John on Monday complained about poor working conditions, threatening to walk off the job if nothing was done to rectify the issues that include an out-of-service air conditioning system and possible buildup of mold. Talks between representatives of the ministry and health, however, averted strike action. The David Thompson Health and Social Services Complex is the third healthcare facility in Barbados, as many weeks where workers have complained about environmental issues. Still on the regional scene, Guyana's Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony confirmed that 2 children, including a 9-year-old child, have died after being infected with dengue. Reports state that the children received treatment at Guyana's Intensive Care Unit, the ICU, of the Georgetown Public Hospital, and that Dr. Frank Anthony said no other child is currently receiving critical care after being infected with dengue. One of two children who died was a primary school student and spent 5 days in the ICU before passing away. An estimated 3,453 people in Guyana have been infected with the mosquito-borne disease so far this year, based on official figures, with 2,169 cases considered to be still active. The country's health minister said that local authorities have been fogging all areas to prevent people from being bitten by mosquitoes, as well as distributing the substance used to kill mosquito larvae. Finally, on the international scene, a second politician has been assassinated in the space of 1 week in Ecuador, according to reports. Local party leader Pedro Briones was shot dead by gunmen on a motorcycle at his home in northern Esmeraldas province. His killing follows just 5 days after the death of presidential candidate Fernando, who was gunned down in the capital, Quito. Ecuador's murder rate has increased as local gangs have forged alliances with international crime cartels ahead of snap presidential elections on August 20th. Mr. Briones was a leader of the left-wing Citizen Revolution Party in Esmeraldas. Fellow members of the party expressed their condolences to his family and friends. This has been WEFM's 3 p.m. news. I have been your presenter, Jessica Klein. Join us again at 5:30 p.m. for WEFM's evening news, and we thank you for listening.